Greetings, good people, and welcome to the final video here in Amsterdam. Now, behind me, you'll see the Star of David, and that's because we're at Waterlooplein, which was the former market for jewelry, diamonds, gold, and silver, and it was mostly operated by Jews. That's exactly the topic of today's video. Whether or not gold, silver, diamonds, jewelry are a good way to ghost and anonymize your wealth. And the short answer is no. Now let me explain to you why in a different setting. That there? Yeah. I don't get to choose the background. Now, let me give you some context on what I'm trying to say. The only time it makes complete sense to own a lot of gold, a lot of silver, is if you're staying in one location for a very, very long time. In that case, you can have a vault in your home, you can have all the safety precautions, and more importantly, you don't have to travel with kilos of gold and silver across the world. And gold and silver is extremely heavy. If you think you're going to be able to travel on a commercial plane with a duffel bag of gold bars or silver bars, well, you're gravely mistaken. All of a sudden, you need a private jet or you need a yacht. More importantly, most countries have capital controls. In Europe, it's about 10,000 euros worth of gold that you can actually travel without declaring. And if you have to start declaring it, well, then it loses its anonymity. So, is there ever a moment when you should buy gold and silver to anonymize and ghost your wealth? Well, in very small circumstances, which the Colombian alternative businesses used to do in Europe. So what they would do is they would actually go to these jewelry stores or gold and silver stores and buy everything up for whatever price. Now you might say that's a bad bargain, right? Well, not necessarily, because obviously they had dirty cash that needed to be legitimized. They would take that gold and silver and then move it to Panama, and from Panama into Colombia. Now in Colombia, they have very many unrecognized or undocumented mines, and they're usually located around the international ones. And these undocumented mines would smelt that European gold and silver, and from there it would be smuggled into these international large mines where they would put a stamp on the gold bars and act as if it was mined from there. And of course, you can legitimize the proceeds by selling that gold bar on the large open market. Other than that, buying gold and silver requires you to go through very many KYC checks, especially in Europe. It can start from very small amounts, from about 1,000 to 2,000 euros, so it's just not the anonymous tool that everyone makes it out to be. With diamonds, it's maybe a little different because they are tiny. Technically, you can sew them into all kinds of clothing. The most anonymous way to move around is with jewelry, and that's only with what you can actually put on your own surroundings. If you want to transport larger amounts in precious metals, all of a sudden a better strategy is to buy numismatic coins or collectibles. And these coins have an extremely high value, but they're difficult to sell, and you need to know what you're doing. For example, the Victoria Gothic florin from 1847, if I'm not mistaken, that one silver coin is worth about 50,000 euros in a regular condition. And more importantly, border guards, because they're accustomed to gold being valuable but not silver, they won't pay too much attention on the fact that this one coin holds so much value. But again, it's not something that you'll be able to sell immediately. They have very low liquidity. If you think that you're going to be able to sell your gold or silver bullion coins for spot price in a new country, you're gravely mistaken. In fact, if you want to move wealth across the world, a far better strategy is to use cash, because that's actually valued in many developing countries. Especially in Latin America and Argentina, they even have a term, dólar blue, which is the new crispy $100 bills which go for a premium on the market. Now the issue, of course, is safety. So if you're going to move in these places, I, for example, had money stolen in Latin American countries, it is very, very important for you to take safety seriously. That's why when it comes to anonymizing and ghosting your wealth, we recommend all of our clients to use cryptocurrencies. As long as you know an OTC dealer in a country, you can on-ramp and off-ramp with huge amounts of liquidity. And more importantly, you can carry that wealth on a small USB stick and not stand out of the crowds. And there are many ways to off-ramp it into cash via over-the-counter, P2P, getting a favorable bank, or even going and buying a property with your cryptos. So to summarize the key points of this video, number one, liquidity is king. And that's why we recommend cryptocurrencies, because it's 24/7. You have all these centralized exchanges, whereas with bullion dealers, they'll always take a small cut, right? And if you think you'll be able to sell it at spot rates, tough luck. Now, if you want to move larger amounts and keep your mobility, it's highly recommended to use numismatic coins, but then you're going for the long haul, about 5, 10, maybe even 15 years. It's not something that you'll be selling overnight. With cryptocurrencies, you can go through over-the-counter deals, you can go through P2P. It's extremely mobile and easy to transport on a USB stick. I'm not saying that gold and silver is bad, by the way. I'm not saying the diamonds are bad. I'm not saying the jewelry is bad. But how much are you able to transport across the world? Very little, unless you're a billionaire. And by then, you don't have an issue because you have a private banking relationship with someone who is able to onboard and offboard huge amounts of cash. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I'll be now traveling to France, so this is the final shot of Amsterdam. I'll be seeing you in about 2 to 3 days, but until then, bye-bye.